A six-pack is the envy of almost everyone, whether seasoned lifter or beginner. In this video, I'm breaking down the best exercises to get a six-pack, and most of them aren't what you think. Let's get started. One of the most important things to think about is that the abs are like any other muscle. They need to be trained in order to grow. If you don't train your abs, and we'll get to the best ab exercises here in a second, then you can't expect them to get bigger. The current recommendations for most muscles is to train them for 10 to 20 sets per week within a 5 to 30 rep range. Sure, you can pick up a 5-minute ab routine by grinding out rep after rep of generic core exercises, but we can be much more methodical and efficient with the training and time. Most people think squats and deadlifts train the core a good amount, and they aren't wrong. You definitely have to have a strong core to maintain good control of your body with these exercises, especially if you're using a lot of weight. But that's your core. In this video, we're talking about your abs. You see, isometric exercises, where the muscles aren't moving but producing tension, don't do much for hypertrophy. Instead, you want to do a lot of crunch type exercises or leg raise type exercises in your routine. Let me explain. The abs, or abdominals, run straight up and down your midsection. They start at your rib cage and attach to the front of your pelvis. If you were to round your low back, you would feel your abs engage. These are the types of exercises we want. Sure, if you were to do heel taps, figure eights, Russian twists, and other exercises like these, you'd feel your abs start to fatigue out and be on fire. But that doesn't mean you're doing much to grow them. It's like saying running will build bigger quads and calves because they are sore from running. Running does little, if anything, to build muscle in your quads and calves. Just because something is sore doesn't mean it's necessarily doing any good in terms of building muscle. Another important thing to remember is that the abs contribute to much less range of motion than you would think. Most people would think a full sit-up or toes to bar are great ab exercises because you're going through a full range of motion. Well, for ab training, that's nonsense. You see, the abs just do the initial part of the movement. Remember that abs bring the ribs and pelvis towards each other. Once your back is flattened, the rest of the movement comes from your hip flexors. As you see when I perform the incline crunch, the initial part of the exercise is from my abs. Once my back flattens, the rest of the movement comes from my hip flexors. Now, it's not bad to do the full range of motion. Your abs are still working isometrically during the sit-up part, but just know that the last bit involves the hip flexors much more than the abs. You can use this to your advantage by really focusing on the initial and end part of the exercise and using the hip flexors to help slowly lower and control back to the beginning of the movement. Now let me show you the 4 best exercises to do to make those abs really pop. Now the hanging leg raise isn't bad in and of itself, but it does have one fatal flaw, the strength curve. It's not the most ideal because you have very little tension at the bottom and the most tension at 90 degrees, which is difficult to get to the more you get fatigued. With any exercise, we want the opposite, the most tension when stretched, and for the exercise to get easier throughout the range of motion. In comes a lying leg raise anchored overhead. This exercise is fantastic because we get a lot of tension at the bottom, and it progressively gets easier when you raise your legs up until they are perpendicular to the ground. You'll have your arms anchored overhead to stabilize your upper body. This helps to keep everything nice and fixed so you can focus on the movement, not having to stabilize yourself. Squeeze your quads to keep your legs straight so every rep is the same on every set, making progress easier to track. Make sure to arch your low back at the bottom and flatten it when raising your legs up. Lowering your legs should be the same movement in reverse, slowly and under control, letting your low back arch when lowering your legs back down. You may feel some back pain at first, but this will resolve the more often you do these. Even though there might be some low back pain, it's not doing anything damaging to your low back. Obviously, if you have something like a bulging disc or sciatica or other issues with your low back, or are generally just in a lot of lower back pain, I wouldn't recommend these. With that in mind, I usually do anywhere from 8 to 20 reps for 2 to 3 sets. Once you can reach 15 or 20 reps, then you can add a 5-pound dumbbell between your feet, as long as it doesn't slip out from your feet. We don't want an unfortunate accident somewhere else. Another variation of the lying leg raises are the lying knee tucks with a cable. For this, you'll need some cable straps you can put around your ankles. The movement is very similar, except you'll bend your knees and bring them towards your chest. The great part about this exercise is that you can increase the range of motion by placing your hands underneath your glutes to get more of an arch in your low back. Just make sure to arch your low back at the beginning and the end of the exercise and to focus on flattening your low back on the way up. This is super easy to superset with any cable exercise while you're resting between sets of any upper body exercises. The best part about these is that you can adjust the resistance a lot easier than you would with the lying leg raises. With these, I could do 2 to 4 sets of 8 to 15 reps. These are less intense in the low back, and working at a higher rep range could help with form and plateaus. Okay, now the third exercise on the list is a classic, and most of you are probably already doing these already, but I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks to make them even better. So you know to start the exercise by curling with your abs and end with arching your low back, yada yada. You'll quickly find you need to add weight, and when you do, you can do this little trick. Where you have the weight makes a world of difference. If I had the weight right above my head, this would be much harder to do than if I had the weight at my chest or at my abs. This is because the lever arm is longer at my head than at my chest or abs. This opens up this exercise to mechanical drop sets. Basically, you can start with the weight at your head, and when you can't do any more reps here, then you lower it to your chest and crank out a couple more, then your abs and do the same thing. Along with this, you can also focus on the eccentric or lowering part of the movement by manipulating where the weight is. If I have the weight extended in front of me, this will make it easier to do the sit-up. I can then move the weight to my forehead to make the eccentric part harder, which science has shown is the most important for hypertrophy. 2 to 4 sets of 8 to 15 reps should be plenty for this, and don't be surprised if your abs are sore for a day or two afterwards. Last but not least is the cable crunch. Just like with the decline sit-up, there's a good way to do them and a better way to do them. Most people do this exercise facing the cable machine. Nothing quite wrong with this, but it could be better. How about facing away from the machine? This makes sure you are resisting the cable trying to push you into lumbar extension. In other words, it loads you into that arch back position, which is what we want to stretch out the abs. You'll have to play around with the height of the cable. The higher I have the cable, the less tension I have my abs when I go through the movement, especially when they are most stretched. The thing is, we want the high tension at the most stretched position. If the cable is lower, see what I have to resist against a lot more when my abs are fully stretched out? That's what we want. Of course, this is going to look different for everybody since we are all different heights and have different dorsal lengths, even if we are the same height. The beauty of these is that you can superset the cable crunch with practically any upper body cable exercise, similar to the lying knee tucks. 2 to 4 sets at 8 to 15 reps is a good range to work on. You can do drop sets for cable crunches, but I don't see much reason for it since this is more of a technical exercise, meaning there's more of a technique to it than something like a barbell curl where you just bend your elbow. When something is technical and you go to failure and beyond, so many parts can go wrong in the movement, especially as you get more fatigued. Besides, the next and final tip is going to help reveal your abs much more than doing drop sets for one ab exercise. So stick with regular sets and reps and do them more frequently, such as every time you do an upper body cable exercise. And finally, you can't see your abs and there's a big layer of fat blocking them. It's like having somebody that's obese flexing their biceps or triceps. You can't see much definition because there's too much fat there. If you want more advice on this, I have a full video breaking down the best and easiest way to burn fat. It'll be here or in the description. If you like this video, click the like button. It really helps me to know if you want more content like this. Click subscribe to get more videos like this, where I not only show you the most efficient and easiest ways to get your dream body, but also how to make it practical for your life and your situation. And I'll see you guys in the next video.